If you've ever wanted to add your own signature or add a handwritten message to your sewn project and be able to stitch that out with your embroidery machine to provide a custom touch to that special project, the AccuSketch app from Janome is the best way to do that. It's very easy to use. Let me show you how it's done. Today we'll need a few supplies to get going with our project. We'll need an iPad with some type of stylus. It doesn't have to be an Apple Pencil. Any stylus will do. Your finger will work pretty well also, except when you're getting finer details. So it's best to use a stylus if you have one. Any stylus, again, will do just fine with that. The other thing you'll want is the AccuSketch app. You'll also want the AccuEdit app. Both of these apps are free from the Apple iTunes store. They are made specifically for an iPad. So if you look to try to find these apps and you're on an iPhone, you may not be able to find them in the App Store. But if you go and download them onto your iPad through the App Store that way, you'll be able to find them much easier. We'll be using those today, and we will also be using a template that we've made for you, as well as some borders that we've digitized as well. So let me show you where you can get those. The link to the project page will be down below this video, so you can click there and get to the same page that I am showing you right now. So this is our project page for these AccuSketch labels. And you'll see as you scroll down a little bit, the first thing we have are black and white, basically outlines. This is going to be your template for us to draw or sign something within AccuSketch. But this right here, the black and white drawing that you can see, this is only a template. It is not the embroidery files that your Janome embroidery machine will need to stitch. But you'll see how useful these are in just a moment. So to get the templates onto your iPad to be able to use them in AccuSketch to lay out and draw your note or sign your project, you'll want to click your stylus down until this comes up right here, this options box, and you will want to click Save Image. When you save this image, it saves it to the photos on your iPad, which we can pull into AccuSketch a little later. Then down below is where you'll find the actual files for our embroidery. These are the different files that we've digitized for you to be able to use. We've done a large, medium, and a small label, as well as a couple other fun elements that you can play around and add in as you'd like to. To give you an idea of the sizes, the large label is about 3 inches by 4 inches. The medium label is approximately 2 inches by 4 inches. And the small label is perfect for apparel or a small clutch project, and that size is 2.5 inches by 3/4 inches. Below that, you'll see the other elements that we can use. In order to bring these in and be able to add our signature or handwritten message on top of that, we will want to bring these directly into AccuEdit. So let me show you how to do that. It's very easy to do. Let's come up here to the large label, and this time I'm going to click and let go. I'm not going to hold down, so I shouldn't see that box come up that came up before. Okay, but what will happen is a separate tab will open. You can see that I have 2 tabs now on my internet browser on my iPad, and it says download, and it looks empty, but if you look down at the very bottom, here's our large label, and it's a JEF file, so it's the embroidery file for Janome machines, and then there's the download button. When you click the download button, it will download. You've got to check over here to show that it's downloaded, and then you have an option that says open in. When you select open in, it will give you different options that you can select to open this into. So we want to copy our embroidery design directly into AccuEdit. So we'll select AccuEdit right there. Okay, and it will bring our embroidery design right there into AccuEdit. Super easy, right? Now we can go into AccuSketch. We can draw our notes, sign our name, and then bring it back into AccuEdit on top of this, and we'll be ready to go. So let's go then to our AccuSketch. When you open AccuSketch, it may look a little differently than mine, and that's okay. If you come up on the toolbar on the right to the top, you can select a canvas size. For this project, I'm going to use the SQ23, which is a little bit bigger than 9 inches by 9 inches, and select Create. And then what I want to do is bring in the template. Do you remember the black and white drawing that we saved to our images? We'll go over to the picture here, okay? And when we go over to that picture, we'll click that, and then we'll select, we don't want to take a photo, so we're going to select the one underneath the photos. And right here you can see that it has saved my template design, that black and white design. So we'll select that, and we'll select our template. There it is. It is ready for us to bring in and use as our background. So we will go back to the upper right and click Done. There's our template. The other thing that I like to do, especially when I'm doing my handwriting, is to have the grid and add the grid back in. So on your right toolbar, go down towards the bottom, select the grid, and the grid will come on and give you better lines for writing, especially if you're writing a larger note. You'll have some type of lines to go off of to keep your handwriting a little more neat. Let me zoom in down here. We're going to use this larger label, and I want to show you a couple little tricks. First of all, keep in mind that each one of these boxes is only about a 1/4 inch. If you are drawing a very small line, it may look like it's drawing. You can see my blue line there, but then when I let go, maybe it drew, or maybe I just did a little one and then it didn't. There are ways to get around that, and this will come in handy if you're needing to, say, cross a T or dot an I. In this case, I am going to sign this. We're going to go and okay, Aaron. And then let me show you what I do to dot my I. We're going to come back to that. Okay, to dot my I, you'll see if I want to do this and it looks like it's drawing, but then I let go, there's actually not a stitch there because it's so small. I'm trying to draw something that's about a 1/16 of an inch or maybe even smaller, and the software doesn't like that. Sometimes I can zoom in a little bit and it will let me do a little bit more. Sometimes it doesn't, but that's okay. Let me show you how to get around that. I'll start where I want my dot to be, and then I'll do a longer line that I know will take. Then I will go and find my eraser tool on the left toolbar and select that. Remember that you can choose either a large eraser or a small eraser by clicking that. I'll use my small eraser. Then I'll come back over here to my design and erase until I get to the dot of my I. See how easy that was? So that's a way that you can trick the app a little bit into getting very, very tiny stitches if you need to do some little dots or things like that. This is ready to go. I will go over to Stitch and select that. And if you have the stitch pack that you purchased, you'll have the option for a triple zigzag or stem. When I'm doing handwriting, I'll either use the single or the triple, and I always like to turn my stitch length down as much as possible. By turning that down, you get more detail in your handwriting. If you watch what happens if I turn that up, do you see how some of my letters, like my N and my U, they're very angular. They've got all those angles to it. but I can get more of the curve showing up if I have that smaller stitch. You see how much better that looks? When I'm doing handwriting, again, I always like to use that as tight of a stitch length, as small as a stitch length as I can. After I have this, I'm ready to send it and place it on top of my frame in AccuEdit. So I will select from the right-hand toolbar the export and then copy to AccuEdit. This will take my stitch, bring it into AccuEdit. In this case, it's down here a little bit, but I can move it up here where I'd like it to be. I can even change the color. Remember, I've got my palette tool here. If I'd like to change the color, say to coordinate better with the project that I'm doing, you can change the color of the border too, if you'd like. Go something a little more gray there. Can change that. And then let me show you how to bring in that pennant banner that I showed you and color that in. We'll go back to our Janome screen. This is the website where we were downloading. We don't want that, so we can close out of it and go back to the main project page. We'll scroll down and find the embroidery file that's the pennant banner right here. And to bring that one into AccuEdit, remember, we'll click it. It will open a new tab and allow me to download. So I can select download right here. Okay, and then open in and go ahead and copy this into AccuEdit. Okay, now I've got it in AccuEdit. We can move it around as we need to. In this case, I'd like to move it up here towards the top. And let me show you how to add the color in here. We'll have to go back to AccuSketch for that. So we'll select our AccuSketch. And we don't need this anymore, so we can go back to our, we'll go back to our drawing by selecting drawing in the upper left. And then down at the bottom, clear, and clear out that. And remember, in our template, up at the top here, we have the pennant banner. We've got the pennant banner. I'll select my pencil tool instead of my eraser tool. And I'm going to color in maybe 2 of these. Maybe I want them to be, we'll color in a couple of them. Coloring in this one. And we'll color in this one. Maybe we want to do an alternative color. Color in this one. And color in this one. Okay, and then go to stitch. And that doesn't look like much now, but it'll fill in. You can play around too if you have some of your other stitch options to see what you like. And then we're going to copy this into AccuEdit. And it's up here. So we'll bring it down here. It looks like I might have changed the size of one of these just a little bit. So I'll need to adjust that size, but I can fill it in. Say I want that to be green there. Okay, let's look over here. So I've got those as the green. And then we can go back and add another color in that other section by going back to AccuSketch, going back to our drawing, clearing out those ones, coloring in the other ones. And sometimes I like to draw one and then I'll go over it again to add some more stitching to fill in that color a little bit better. See how I'm going over these ones twice. Okay, we'll go to stitch. We'll put this into AccuEdit. And remember, I think it brought them in up here. Yep, so we'll move those back down here. You can see there. And we want to change that color to a different color that kind of coordinates with our project. Maybe that quilt was kind of blues and greens. There we go. Now you can see that I was able to color the pennant banner by doing that. and I have got my label all ready to stitch out. So from this point I can send it directly to my Janome machine that is wireless enabled, or I can save this and email it to myself and be able to pull it off the computer, copy it to a USB, or pull the design from iTunes and be able to actually save it to my computer that way. There's a couple different options, and I'll link those videos so that you've got those when you get to this step. Depending on if you have a wireless machine or not, you'll be able to get these stitched out. But that is how you can very quickly add in your own handwriting onto a pre-done label with the Janome AccuSketch and AccuEdit app. So we're glad that you joined us today. Be sure if you use this and this is helpful, go ahead and tag us using the AccuSketch hashtag on Instagram or Facebook. We would love to see the different ways that you guys are using this app to preserve your handwriting, add those fun custom messages to your sewn projects. And we just can't wait to see what creative things you guys come up with. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.